Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Book Wormies. I'm your host, Aaron Helton, here to take you down the wonderful world of nonfiction. Today, I have one of my favorite books because I like to save not the best for last, but things that are most impactful to me I've kind of sprinkled throughout these episodes I've done. But these two books I'm going to talk about today's and the next episode are books that really just acutely helped me to culminate the aspects of things I've learned from the other books that I've talked about, if that makes sense. Kind of like the level up zone, essentially, for the next lessons that I was meant to learn. So the book I have today is by Brené Brown. Now, Brené Brown I've mentioned, I think, once or twice, and she is amazing as a researcher storyteller, I believe is what she likes to be called. But the book is called Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. Atlas of the Heart. And the strength of this book is in that word atlas. Atlas in the sense of a map, in the sense of places that we go. Because the big strength in Brené Brown's speaking and writing is the term of the story I'm telling myself. Again, storyteller, researcher, right? Researcher, storyteller. And so the stories that Brené Brown can find from us and the way that she can talk about them is just glorious. So in this book, it talks about, I believe, like 80-ish or so emotions or emotional states that we get into as we feel different things. And so the chapters kind of are split up in chunks. We talk about 4 or 5 emotions or psychological states or emotional states, etc. For example, the 8th section is called Places We Go When We Fall Short. And it talks about shame, self-compassion, guilt, humiliation, perfectionism, embarrassment. Those are the things that it talks about. It also talks about, in other sections, awe or wonder or hope or anguish. And Brené Brown does a wonderful job of connecting the reader to the emotion through a story or through something that is shared, an experience that is empathizing, that is able to pull a person into that situation. Now, I myself, as somebody who is a visual learner or who always creates visuals in my head, the idea of thinking of emotions or psychological states as a physical place that I emotionally or spiritually or psychologically go to helped immensely in creating my own understanding, not just of myself, but of others as well. Creating, where are you right now? As I lead with curiosity towards the people around, I think, who are you right now? Or where are you right now as you show this side of yourself? If you're screaming at me, angry, where are you right now internally? Where have you taken yourself? And having that visual, to me, is an incredibly powerful tool when empathizing and then also when exploring yourself, your self-regulation, etc. Thinking of, if you remember from some of the past books that I've talked about, the self-regulation techniques of where am I right now and what do I need in order to get to a place that I like more? If I'm, for instance, angry, how do I get to a place where I am not as angry? Because I don't like myself currently when I'm angry. And, obviously self-love is a separate topic, but generally we get angry and we feel some type of negative as a result. And ideally you get to a place where you feel thankful that the emotion is telling you something. But until you get to that regulated state, what is the difference of how you're showing up currently and how you want to show up? Having that visual of where am I physically, but in a psychological way, I think is powerful in that sense to help guide us. Because I think when we talk about feelings in the sense of a map, and that is the core of this book, there's maybe 2 or 3 pages per emotion, maybe up to 5, maybe up to 10, but it's not drawn out. It's not pulled with a bunch of fancy language or things like that. It's just human. The book is human. And that's the way I'll describe it because I think it's, like I mentioned, 80-ish emotions or emotional states. I think 82. I believe. And the book is only about 250 pages and then about 50 pages of references and resources and things like that. But it's roughly 250-ish pages of just really good content talking about where do you go when you feel blank. And I think many times we feel lost. And I think that the concept of feeling lost and having a grounding tool such as this is something incredibly powerful. As far as critique, improvements, concepts that left me wanting, I don't believe there are any in this book because I am the type of person to take things as they are and accept them as the lesson that they are. So as this book goes, I mean, due to the nature of how much content Brené Brown has out, I don't think it's a shortcoming that this book is straightforward. I think that's exactly what this book needed to be. And I think that that's exactly the benefit that this book creates for the people that read it. Thinking, where is it that I go? What is the physical aspect of, like, what is the vision? What is the visual of the places that I go when I feel blank? Where do I go when I feel hopeful? Where do I go when I feel anguish? Where do I go when I'm embarrassed? What are the stories that we tell ourselves? So I definitely recommend reading this book, Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown, using it as a tool to regulate yourself or understand yourself rather, as you think, where am I when I feel these things? What does it look like? If I am angry, I become a storm cloud. How does that affect the people around me? Maybe they don't like thunder. And as you use this tool, I hope that it gives you the same insight that it gave me in the times that I needed it. Because the power of a straightforward book is that you can reopen it and put tabs in it and just check every now and then, because having 2 or 3 pages on one emotional state lets you come back and say, give me a refresher, because learning is relearning. And as we continue the frequency of looking at these concepts, it comes back to us saying, okay, this is something powerful. This is something that I'm feeling. This is something that I resonate with. This is the place that I'm in. And this gives me the ability to understand myself, and it gives me the ability to articulate it for somebody else. And I think that's the true power of this book. I would also recommend looking at other works by Brené Brown. She's definitely an author that has led a lot of change in the sense of understanding shame and allowing ourselves to lean into vulnerability. And I think that's an incredibly powerful resource. Just all of the books and the talks and the tools that she has have been absolutely helpful in my own journey, and hopefully in yours as well. But as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful journey exploring nonfiction books. And I hope you got something out of this. Thank you.